Good evening. I'm going to call this meeting to order, the hour of 7 p.m. having arrived. This meeting is being broadcast live on the City of Keene YouTube channel and on Spectrum Channel 1032. The video is also streamed on the city's website and is posted by the end of the next business day, barring any technical difficulties. If you would like to receive an electronic City Council packet to reference while viewing future broadcasts, please contact the City Clerk's office during regular business hours or go to the city's website and subscribe to the city's mailing email list. The agenda is also accessible from any mobile device. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Kate M. Bosley.
Here.
Laura E. Tobin.
Here.
Michael J. Remy. Randy L. Filio.
Here.
Robert C. Williams.
Here.
Edward J. Haas.
Here.
Philip M. Jones.
Present.
Andrew M. Madison.
Here.
Chris E. Roberts. Brian J. Lake.
Here.
Catherine I. Workman.
Here.
Bettina A. Chadbourne.
Here.
Thomas F. Powers.
Here.
Mitchell H. Greenwald.
Here.
And Councilor Lake, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilor Greenwald, for a motion on the minutes.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to adopt the minutes of the May 2nd, 2024 meeting as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor of the minutes as presented, raise their hands. Thank you very much. Motion carries unanimously. This evening, we have one birthday to celebrate. Councilor Greenwald, happy birthday. Any words of wisdom?
Made another year. I got a few more days. Thank you all.
Further announcements for the council. The operating budget review by the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee will have its last meeting this Tuesday, May 21st at 5:30. A light meal will be provided in advance of that meeting. Looking forward to other downtown project meetings. The Municipal Services Committee will hold its regular meeting on May 22nd. And the downtown project will be part of that agenda. This will be followed by a full council workshop on the downtown project on June 11th at 6 p.m. in council chambers, after which the next step would be for the MSFI regular meeting in June, on June 26th, to take up the project again. The final council action on the downtown project is anticipated for the July 18th regular meeting of the City Council. I'd like to call our attention that the month of May is a busy time to recognize a lot of people and professions that are among us in our community and help to strengthen our community. Between our last council meeting and today, we have recognized Teacher Appreciation Day, Nurse Appreciation Week, and Public Service employees. Tonight, we will recognize Public Works employees. Later on this month, on May 23rd, we will also be recognizing Mental Health Awareness Month and the importance of eliminating the stigma that too often prevents people from seeking the care they need. Last week was Law Enforcement Memorial Week, honoring those who've sacrificed their lives in the line of duty. And on May 27th, the city will be holding a Memorial Day remembrance to honor the veterans who have given their lives in service of our nation. City councilors are asked to identify if you're going to participate in the parade in advance. We would be convening at 9:45 near Lindy's Diner, as has been tradition. But there is some interest in knowing how many counselors plan to attend the parade, which will commence at 10 a.m. concluding at the Recreation Center grounds, which will be the site for a remembrance ceremony that will begin at 11 a.m. that morning. So, looking forward to seeing our council members there to honor our veterans. Okay, those are my announcements for this evening. Counselor Jones?
Thank you. Can I just add to your announcements, the master plan think tank?
Oh, thank you.
Master plan steering
Excellent.
committee. I believe it's on Thursday the 30th at 5 p.m. and Friday the 31st at 9 a.m. It's on the city website.
It is indeed. Thank you for pointing that out. Let's see. I want to make sure that we give counselors the right information. Yeah, the 30th, so the master plan process is engaging members of the Keene community to participate in a think tank that'll be run by the Future IQ consultants that have been retained for the master plan process. It's a 2 half-day kind of sessions, the first of which is on May 30th, beginning at 4:30, and running, I think, until 8:30 that evening. The second session picks up at 8:30 in the morning on Friday the 31st and runs till noon. Should be a very engaging process, and please, the city councilors are all invited to participate, and members of our community are also invited to participate. Invitations have been going out to other commission members that are serving the city. Okay.
Your Honor?
Yes.
If I may I add one more significant date to the month of May? As my son has pointed out to me on a number of occasions when I have wished him a happy Veterans Day, he says, well, I'm not a veteran yet. But you can send me a thoughtful hello on Armed Forces Day, which happens to be this Saturday, May 18th. So for all of those folks out there that may have somebody in the active duty military services, please reach out to them.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, moving along to presentations and proclamations. I'd like to move item K2 forward on the agenda and recognize Councilor Powers for a motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to move for the adoption of Resolution 2024-24.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Powers and seconded by Councilor Bosley. Councilor Powers?
Thank you, Your Honor. This resolution is in appreciation of Karen Gray. And you know, you've often heard me say that people are the most important part of an organization. And given any opportunity for the city council to honor a member, it's really one of the best things can happen. However, when they're retiring, I'm not sure we always agree. Karen has been within this organization for about 8 years, but she served in local government for more than 25 years, 20 years of which in the New Hampshire system. Important dates for all of us that are employees of city government. And she's come to that point in life where she's decided that she wants to retire. But I want to look back at her process to come here to the city of Keene. And when she was looking at a position with the city of Keene in the finance department, she prepared very well, as which she does every day with things around this building. She prepares well, ready to go, and thought she was there, and that she had covered every question possible. Sitting there, she took her interview well, and it came to that question. And she was asked, "Can you bake?" Didn't expect that one. However, being a Maina, she came back with a snappy answer. No, but I know where Kristen's is. And that was it. That's what put her there. You know, every organization has people. They have people in charge. They got the bosses and the other bosses and the not-so-much bosses. They got people that are assigned to duties and people that do things. But the most important in an organization is the one you go to, because they will get it done no matter what. And if you can't explain Karen Gray any other way, that's her. She's the one that's gotten it done. And most importantly, as she is now, I've never seen her in 8 years when she hasn't been smiling. Congratulations.
Thank you, Councilor Powers. Anyone else? If not, I'd like to call a vote. All those in favor of the resolution as presented? And that motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Karen, would you please come forward? See, they put a few things in between.
First and last, please.
A resolution in appreciation of Karen P. Gray upon her retirement, resolved by the City Council of the City of Keene as follows. Whereas Karen P. Gray continued her public service career through the City of Keene as of May 20th, 2016, as a part-time fund manager, moving into the position full-time on June 1st, 2016. Transitioned to senior staff accountant as of July 1st, 2016, and was promoted to the position of accounting and fund manager effective April 23rd, 2023. And whereas exceeding her position's requirements for knowledge, skills, duties performed, and bringing with her an in-depth understanding of the requirements of a finance department, she both has worked closely with the finance director, treasurer, and department heads, and has used all available tools to ensure the departmental goals were achieved and that the department has advanced in its services with no task too small or beneath her level of work. And whereas mastering the arts of flexibility, process changes, and deadline juggling during times of staff vacancies, the pandemic, and its accompanying new grant projects, Karen has played a critical role in allowing the departments to continue operations as she absorbed extra duties. She has played a critical role in allowing the department to continue operations, learning other functions' details, and assuming a significantly increased volume of work, such as managing a variety of increasingly complicated regulations for new grants with short deadlines simultaneous with a financial audit, a bond sale, and a capital improvements program process. And whereas enjoying the position because it encompasses both independent, numeric, and people components, and epitomizing the meaning of teamwork and customer focus, Karen leads by example in being approachable and offers a warm rapport to everyone, never hesitating to offer assistance and guidance to those not in her direct reports in order to increase their skills and value to their departments, respecting different work styles and personalities, and being a good listener and communicator. And whereas Karen has demonstrated her exceptional work ethic, impartiality, planning, and organizational ability to adapt quickly to new challenges, and adherence to accounting and governmental standards by taking initiative to start projects and following them through to completion, ensuring that all work is thorough, neat, accurate, and meeting deadlines, and that financial transactions are well documented and above reproach, and taking pride in meeting deadlines and responding to customer questions accurately and as promptly as possible. And whereas Karen has been a key player in the city's transition to new financial systems, going above and beyond during long hours as co-team leader of the project to convert accounting, general ledger, accounts payable, accounts receivable, property tax billing, utility billing, and payroll modules, and other accomplishments include helping to simplify and increase the user-friendliness of narratives, charts, and the overall financial format of both operating budget and capital improvement program documents, updating the city's uniform grant guidance provisions, ensuring the financial audits were successful, serving as staff support to the trustees of trust funds, and working with other committees and serving as an elections volunteer. And whereas Karen's previous service in a New Hampshire retirement system participating entity qualifies her to retire May 24th, 2024, with 8 years of honorable service to the city. Now therefore, be it resolved that the City of Keene hereby extends its sincere thanks to Karen P. Gray for her dedication to the City of Keene and wishes her the very best for her retirement years, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution, properly engrossed, be presented to Karen in appreciation of her years of service to the City of Keene and to the greater Monadnock community, and we'll complete that task next week. Congratulations, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your service.
So I just have one very quick comment. An employee is only as good as the employees around them, and I have been fortunate in my career with the City of Keene to work with all of our great departments, and the staff of our departments are great to work for, and I can only hope that I have supported them throughout my career as much as they have supported me. So it has been an honor to work here, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Don Lucier, would you please join me?
Yes.
A proclamation in honor of Public Works Professional Week. Whereas Public Works professionals focus on infrastructure systems, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities, provide for public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the residents, businesses, and visitors of the City of Keene. And whereas these infrastructure systems, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of Public Works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees who are responsible for operating, rebuilding, improving, and protecting our city's transportation, drinking water, wastewater, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for the daily lives of Keene's residents, businesses, and visitors. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children to gain knowledge of and to maintain a progressive interest in understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in the City of Keene. And whereas this year's 2024 marks the 64th annual National Public Works Week, advancing quality of life for all, sponsored by the American Public Works Association. Now therefore, I, Jay Kahn, Mayor of the City of Keene, do hereby proclaim Sunday, May 19th, 2024 through Saturday, May 25th, 2024 as Public Works Week in Keene, and do hereby call upon our citizens to join with the City of Keene Public Works Department, the American Public Works Association, and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our nation, our state, and our community's health, safety, and quality of life. Signed by your mayor. Thank you, and please pass on our appreciation to all the staff, and I hope we get that chance in the next week to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate it. I'm honored to be here on behalf of the folks down at Public Works. It's not at all because Aaron and Duncan voted that I should come. No, in all seriousness, it is a pleasure to receive this, and I do appreciate it on behalf of the folks at Public Works. Some of you have probably heard me say that I've got the best job in the city, and I really do believe that. It's certainly way more fun than the city managers. And a big part of that, to echo Karen, the big part of that is because I work with just an amazing group of people. If you haven't been down to Public Works to check out the folks that are down there, you should come down for a tour, and we'll show you around. It's an amazing group of folks. They really take pride in their work. They love what they do, and they're proud of it, and they want to show people. It's really great. But tonight, and I told the mayor I was going to get on my soapbox for just a minute. I think this is a great time of year to celebrate National Public Works Week. It's the start of the construction season, and things are starting to ramp up out there in the construction world. So I think it's a great time to remind folks about the dangerous work that Public Works staff do. The roadway remains one of the most dangerous workplaces in America. I did a little research before tonight. Federal Highway's most recent data was from the fiscal year 2022. In 2022, 956 people lost their lives in roadway workplaces, work zones. That's across America, obviously. It's a stark reminder of just how dangerous the work that our guys are doing day in and day out. So another 42,000 got injured, right, in work zones on America's roadways. So please, just take a moment to think about that. Remind your friends and your loved ones, slow down when you see those orange cones and those safety vests. Slow down. Go slower than you think that you should. It is dangerous work, and no one needs to die to keep our roads safe. Okay, so thank you very much.
Thanks for the message. Okay, moving on to section B of our agenda, nominations and confirmations.
This evening, we will be confirming the mayor's nominations for a Kelly Cook to serve as an alternate on the Ashwillet River Park Advisory Board with a term to expire December 31, 2026, and Emma Charles to serve on the Human Rights Committee, also as an alternate, and also with a term to expire December 31, 2026.
Councilor Greenwald for a motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to confirm the nominations.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Greenwald, seconded by Councilor Bosley. Any comments from councilors? Seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Counselor Bosley?
Yes.
And Counselor Tobin?
Yes.
Counselor Remy?
Yes.
Counselor Filio?
Yes.
Counselor Williams?
Yes.
Counselor Haas?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Madison?
Yes.
Counselor Lake?
Yes.
Counselor Workman?
Yes.
Counselor Chadbourne?
Yes.
Counselor Powers?
Yes.
Counselor Greenwald?
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to topic C in communications.
We have a communication from a Katie Carbana, and she is looking for the city council to consider drafting a resolution that would call for a ceasefire in Gaza.
And I want to point out that the council has had a long practice of not taking positions on those issues that are national or international in their origins. Therefore, I intend to accept this communication as informational. I'd like to recognize Councilor Williams.
Yes, I'd like to challenge the ruling of the chair.
Would somebody second that motion? Seeing no second,
All right.
that motion will be filed as informational. Thank you. We move on to the next.
And we have a communication from Carl Jacobs. It's actually being submitted on behalf of the Elm City Rotary Club, the Keene Rotary Club, the Monadnock Interfaith Project, and they are requesting permission to erect a peace pole in Central Square.
And we will be referring that to city staff for their recommendation back to the Municipal Services, Facilities, and Infrastructure Committee. Next letter.
And we have a communication from Adam Topfer, along with some other individuals, and they are looking for permission to serve alcohol on city right-of-way. This is adjacent to Railroad Square, and it's a new tavern.
We'll be referring that letter to the Planning Licenses and Development Committee for their consideration. And next.
We have an informational report from the Planning Licenses and Development Committee. They had an update on the social host ordinance activity, and they're recommending their report be filed as informational. You did?
Yeah, we're on Counselor Williams.
I think it must have gotten stapled to
Letter.
something. Ah, sorry about that, Counselor. Yep, I'm all set. So we do have a communication from Counselor Williams. He's brought to the attention of the council that there's a issue with an accessible curb ramp at the bus loading area that services Central Square Terrace, right on Roxbury Street.
And that request will be referred to city staff so that they will come back with a recommendation to Municipal Services, Facilities, and Infrastructure at a future date. Moving on to Section D of our agenda.
It was the informational report that I already referenced on the social host ordinance activity.
And that will be filed as informational.
Our second report this evening is also from Planning Licenses and Development. It is relative to the Keene Elm City Rotary Club's request to use city property for the Clarence DeMar Marathon, with a recommendation. On a vote of 4-0, the Planning Licenses and Development Committee recommends that the Elm City Rotary Club be granted permission to sponsor the Clarence DeMar Marathon on September 29, 2024, subject to the signing of a revocable license and identification agreement and the submittal of a certificate of liability insurance in the amount of $1 million, listing the city of Keene as an additional insured. This license is conditional upon the petitioner providing an adequate number of volunteer race marshals to ensure runner safety along the course, submittal of a signed letter of permission from any private property owners for use of their property, and the license is subject to any recommendations of staff. The petitioner does agree to absorb the cost of any city services over and above any amount of city funding allocated in the FY Community Events budget. Said payment shall be made within 30 days of the invoice date.
Counselor Bosley for a motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Bosley, seconded by Counselor Jones. Counselor Bosley for the committee.
Thank you. So this is the annual request for the DeMar Marathon. We've learned a lot about Clarence DeMar at our committee. It was really great if you guys read through the minutes to kind of get that background information. They've been running this race since 1978, which I think is pretty incredible. It has been voted the best race in New Hampshire by Race Raves for the last 8 years, and the half has also been voted one of the best half marathons. So I think we're very lucky to have this in our community. They do a great job putting on this event every year, and the committee was happy to support it.
Thank you, Counselor Bosley. Any further comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Our next item is also from Planning Licenses and Development. It is again a request for use of city property. This involves a road closure on Summit Road, and it's from the Keene Family YMCA. On a vote of 4-0, the Planning Licenses and Development Committee recommends the City Council grant permission to the Keene Family YMCA to sponsor a youth triathlon on Sunday, June 2nd, 2024, from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., including the closure of Summit Road just after the YMCA entrance and Summit Ridge Drive, where it intersects with Summit Road, subject to the following. the signing of a revocable license and identification agreement, and the submittal of a certificate of liability insurance in the amount of $1 million, listing the city of Keene as an additional insured. This license is conditional upon the petitioners providing an adequate number of volunteer race marshals to ensure runner safety along the course, providing advance notice of the race to impacted residents, and subject to any recommendations of staff. The petitioner does agree to absorb the cost of any city services provided and agrees to remit said payment within 30 days of invoicing.
Counselor Bosley for a motion.
Move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Bosley and seconded by Counselor Jones. Counselor Bosley for the committee.
Thank you again. So this is another now annual request. This is their third year doing this, and it is a triathlon for the youth in the community through hosted through the Keene Family YMCA. The event has grown over the years. It is up to about 65, 67 registries currently, and they are asking for the closure of a space for the biking portion of the triathlon. They have had really great success communicating with the neighborhood that involves those streets and working with the residents to make sure that the kids are safe and that everyone gets where they need to go. We were very happy to see this come back and support it as well.
Any questions from counselors? Seeing none. All those in favor of this motion as presented? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
And again, planning license and development, this one dealing with the Keene Music Festival's request to use city property. On a vote of 4-0, the Planning Licenses and Development Committee recommends the Keene Music Festival will be granted a street fair license to use downtown city rights-of-way, as well as use of the downtown city property on Central Square, Railroad Square, and the designated parking spaces on Main Street to conduct the Keene Music Festival on Saturday, August 31st, from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., with downtown merchant sidewalk sales permitted in locations where a minimum of 6 feet of clearance is maintained for pedestrian access. In addition, the applicant is permitted to close off a portion of Railroad Street from Main Street to the westerly entrance of the Wells Street parking garage, a portion of Church Street from Main Street to the entrance of the former Vision Financial parking lot, and Lansing Street from Main Street to Federal Street. This permission is granted subject to the following conditions: the signing of a revocable license and identification agreement. The petitioner provided a certificate of liability insurance with the city of Keene, listed as additional insured in the amount of $1 million. Submittal of a signed letter of permission from City Tire for their use of property, compliance with any recommendations of staff. In addition, the petitioner is granted use of the requested parking spaces free of charge under the provisions of the free parking policy. The petitioner agrees to absorb the cost of any city services over and above any amount allocated in the FY25 community event budget. Said payment shall be made within 30 days of date of invoice.
Recognize Counselor Bosley with a motion.
Move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second.
Thank you. Moved by Counselor Bosley, seconded by Counselor Jones. Counselor Bosley for the committee.
Thank you again. So again, we had a great evening listening to all of these events that are coming back, and this is another annual request for us. 23 years this festival will have been going on, and it's been a great success in our community throughout time. There haven't had any issues to speak of. We really enjoy it in the community, and we love seeing people using our downtown, and the committee was again happy to support this. Thank you.
Questions from counselors? Seeing none. All those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
And continuing on, Planning Licenses and Development Committee report. This one also is a request to use city property and a discharge of fireworks for the Keene Sentinel's 225th anniversary celebration. On a vote of 4-0, the Planning Licenses and Development Committee recommends the Keene Sentinel be granted a street fair license to use downtown city rights-of-way and the use of downtown city property on Central Square, Railroad Square, and designated parking spaces on Main Street on Saturday, September 7th, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. to host a 225th anniversary celebration, as well as permission for the discharge of fireworks on Alumni Field at no later than 10 p.m., conditional upon the following: the signing of a revocable license and identification agreement. The petitioner provided a certificate of liability insurance with the City of Keene listed as an additional insured in the amount of $1 million, that the fireworks vendor provide a certificate of liability insurance with the City of Keene listed as an additional insured, also in the amount of $1 million. Obtainment of a Class B fireworks permit. The petitioner does agree to absorb the cost of any city services provided to the event and agrees to remit said payment within 30 days of invoicing. The footprint and the layout for the downtown portion of the event shall encumber the traveled portions of Central Square, the northbound lanes of Main Street from Central Square to Eagle Court, and a portion of Railroad Street. Road closures may include any portions of other streets needed to facilitate detour routes. The full extent of road closures and detour routes shall be agreed upon with city staff. The petitioner is permitted to place porta potties in city parking spaces with specific locations to be determined in conjunction with staff from Friday, September 6th to Monday, September 9th, which will be changed together and affixed to ensure they are not vandalized while unattended overnight. Downtown merchant sidewalk sales are permitted in locations where a minimum of 6 feet of clearance is maintained for pedestrian access. That the downtown portion of the event will be held from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. with the times for setup and cleanup to be established with staff. Free parking is granted under the provisions of the free parking policy for city parking spaces needed for storage of equipment, and the placement of porta potties from Friday, September 6th to Monday, September 9th, in spaces within the event footprint on the day of the event. The submittal of assigned letters of permission from any private property owners for the use of their property, and said permission is granted subject to obtainment of any other necessary licenses or permits, compliance with all laws, compliance with any recommendations of staff.
Recognize Counselor Bosley again.
Move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Thank you.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Bosley and seconded by Counselor Jones. Counselor Bosley for the committee.
Thank you. PLD loves to put a lot of detail in our motions, and thank you to the clerk for reading that out for us. I won't say a lot about this because there was a lot in there, but I will point out that this is a new event for the Sentinel. I believe the last time they did an event was approximately 25 years ago, and this is to celebrate their 225th anniversary, which is kind of an amazing feat, if you can imagine that. So their plans are big. They want to do sidewalk sales, they want to have music venues downtown, an art show, possibly a classic car show, all happening during the day, winding up at Alumni Field for a local celebrity softball game. And they do not have the details of the rosters yet, which I'm really kind of excited to hear about. And then at the end of that game, they're going to follow it up with fireworks. So we're excited to help them move forward the celebration of their organization, and just be happy to participate in a business that's made it that long here in our community. So PLD was unanimously voted to support this.
Counselor Powers.
Thank you, Your Honor. Their 200th celebration didn't have that many listed. However, it was probably one of the largest parades I've seen in modern time. Started at the entrance to the college and ended Keene Parks and Rec. And there was people to people from there, one end to the other. Drew crowds and crowds. And I'm sure this will draw great crowds. And it's happy to see that they're continuing to do things for the community, because it's great to have downtown things. However, I must relay a call from one of the Ward 5 residents who has a, not in favor of fireworks. And I said I would bring that forward. It is a great event, fireworks. Probably it's a way to end the night, but it does bother certain folks. Thank you.
Further comments from counselors? Seeing none, all those in favor of the committee's recommendation? Motion carries unanimously. Just to point out, Sentinel is one of only...
Can you turn on your microphone, please?
I didn't know how long you were going to go. I just wanted to point out that the Sentinel is only one of 5 newspapers in our country that can brag about having crossed the 225th year. Pretty amazing. All right. Next motion.
And again, Planning License and Development Committee, this is actually an informational report. It was also meant to be a use of city property from the Colonial Theater. Unfortunately, they did withdraw their request.
So we will file that as informational.
And we're going on to Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee. First, starting off with the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. It's requesting of the authority to borrow. On a vote of 5-0, the Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee recommends the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to apply for, accept, execute, and expend the proceeds of a loan agreement with the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services Drinking Water State Revolving Fund for the downtown infrastructure project for an amount not up to $3,801. No, $3,801,900. Big difference there.
Indeed. Counselor Powers for a motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. Move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Powers and seconded by Counselor Remy. Counselor Powers for the committee.
The city engineer joined us last week to explain this particular project, and it's a parallel project to what we heard about several months prior from the Drinking Water Fund. So this one comes from the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, DWSRF, and it's for the downtown infrastructure project. It is for the $3 million mentioned. It was put forward to the state, and there were 111 different projects put forward to the state, and this was rated number 10, so that puts us on a list to get this grant. And also, based on the quality and the success of it, we may receive up to 60% of a rebate, which will be great, A, to do the work that needs to be done, and B, to help us financially as we go through this major project. So the FOP committee voted unanimously to recommend that this be adopted by the city council. Thank you.
City manager.
Some late-breaking news from the city engineer related to this item. It's actually good news. We heard today that of the $3.8 million, we will be eligible for forgiveness of up to $2,010,000. That's a huge amount of money to be forgiven for the downtown water project.
Yeah, I can add, this revolving loan fund was established because of a groundwater pollution citing court case that established this fund for the state. There are some remarkably large projects that get funded with this, and I've always wondered when our turn in the lineup might occur. This looks like it. I've seen projects between $8 and $20 million come through this source of funding. So I congratulate and thank our Public Works Department for their initiative here and for the quality of their submission. Given that, any further comments? Motion, all those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Again, Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee, this one dealing with a hazardous materials emergency preparedness grant. On a vote of 5-0, the Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee recommends that the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to accept and expend the 2023 Hazardous Materials Emergency Preparedness Grant Award in the amount of $2,498.
Counselor Powers for a motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. Move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Powers, seconded by Counselor Greenwald. Counselor Powers for the committee.
Chief Jason Martin joined us last week to explain about this particular project. This is an annual event from the state. Hazardous Materials Emergency Preparedness is a key item for them, and the grants that come forward are involved in various elements of that preparedness. In this case, the $2,498 is earmarked for asset management of their systems and some equipment, and then the testing and documentation to make sure that this is all in place and working all the time until its expiration date. And hopefully they have another grant at the same period of time. There's a $624.50 match for the city's part, and that's in the budget, so it's all set to go. Finance Committee voted unanimously to recommend that you vote unanimously to pass this. Thank you.
Comments from other counselors? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Item
Again,
10.
Finance Organization, actually number 9. Finance Organization and Personnel Committee report, again, a grant, this one dealing with the 2021 State Homeland Security Program Award. Also hazardous materials, this one training. On a vote of 5-0, the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee recommends the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to accept and expand the 2021 State Homeland Security Program Award hazardous materials training in the amount of $15,232.
Counselor Powers for a motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. Move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Powers, seconded by Counselor Remy.
Thank you, Your Honor. This goes back to a 2021 pot of land that State Homeland Security Program has available to them. And I think one of the nice things about the way they operate these funding sources that come in, if it's not all expended in the period of time that it's applied for, it's made available in a second round, so that departments are able to keep moving in there to try to get some funding to continue their projects. There were some changes to the way the process worked in terms of documentation and funding on this particular one, but we still are going to get the funds that were expended. There's no match required for the particular program, and we were authorized up to $15,000. However, our request is going to be $5,293 to cover the expense for overtime and backfills when they participated in the training program that was selected. Unanimously approved by the FOP. Hope the City Council will do the same.
Further comments from counselors? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Now number 10.
Finance Organization and Personnel Committee report relative to acceptance of Cheshire County funding for youth services. On a vote of 5-0, the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee recommends the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to accept and administer funds provided by Cheshire County for youth services programs.
Counselor Powers for a motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. Move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Powers, seconded by Counselor Remy. Counselor Powers for the committee.
Thank you, Your Honor. Deputy City Manager Bohannon was here representing Youth Services. Does well at that, has a little experience, and glad that you're able to explain this and highlight the fact that the county increased the amount of funds going towards this program. It's pretty important. So for Youth Services, there was $51,180 for this year's contribution by the county, and the portion goes to the Juvenile Conference Committee, and the rest is for the youth intervention programs that are run out of the Youth Services Manager's office at Parks and Recreation. $15,600 is for youth intervention, and $35,000 for the JCC program. And these monies really support the assistance of the part-time person who works with the youth, works with the program. And as you remember, that one of the principal parts of this program is that it diverts folks from going through the full court system if they're able to work for the program and take care of the issues that were behind them. So it's an excellent program. It really helps kids to get squared away, get on the right track. And we've always had some of the best folks running this program in the past, and we have another great person now running the office. And she was not able to be with us that night to explain it, but as you know, Andy does well at covering those issues. Finance Committee voted unanimously to recommend that the City Council will accept this. We hope you do.
Further comments from counselors? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Item 11.
Finance Organization and Personnel Committee report relative to the reallocation of personnel funds. On a vote of 5-0, the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee recommends the city manager be authorized to reallocate $59,000 from unspent personnel funds to the Airport Taxiway A reconstruction project.
Counselor Powers for a motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. Move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Powers and seconded by Counselor Remy. Counselor Powers for the committee.
Thank you, Your Honor. We were joined by the airport director to explain the particular action that we're taking here, and it all centers around the Taxiway A project. Went out to bid, and it was overbid, and it needed some changes when it came back through. It went out to bid again, had some engineering addition as required by the FAA each time we do a project like this. And once again, it's a little bit over budget. So a solution to make this work is to move some funds around that are available to the city through the ARPA funds, and they finally came in to the city to show us an accounting maneuver that somebody helped us work up and put together before us. And it was able to cover personnel costs. Therefore, we could move the money from personnel to the taxiway project, and the rebid changes would be covered by the $59,000 to cover the cost. Finance Organization Personnel unanimously recommends, and we hope you do the same.
Further comments from counselors? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item 12.
Finance Organization and Personnel Committee report relative to the reallocation of capital funds, this one for the West Keene HVAC project. On a vote of 5-0, the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee recommends the City Council reallocate $88,988 from the City Hall Structural Repairs Project to the Municipal Building Capital Maintenance Project.
Counselor Powers for the committee. For a motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. Move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Powers, seconded by Counselor Remy, and Counselor Powers for the committee.
Latest breaking news has me moving to amend the recommendation to reallocate $60,000 rather than $88,988, as stated in the motion, from the City Hall Structural Repairs Project to the Municipal Buildings Capital Maintenance Projects.
Is that an amendment? That's an amendment made, and
Second.
I'll second.
we have an amendment
Okay,
amending
so-
the motion to $60,000. Moved by Counselor Powers, seconded by Counselor Remy. Further comments?
Just to keep everybody up to date, Karen did some work looking at the accounts and found that this was a better way of doing it because it saves us some money and leaves that money available for the City Hall project at some point in time.
Okay, very good. Further comments from counselors? We'll be voting on the amendment now. All those in favor of the amendment? That carries. We'll move to the main motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. So essentially, this project is to make some improvements to the heating, ventilating, and air conditioning and the filtering system at the West Keene Fire Station. If you've all had an opportunity to visit out there, it's a very interesting building that's about 55 or 60 years old, and it was built to be an armory. And it was really built not to be occupied by folks. Anybody that was staying there was just a short period of time. So when we took it over, we made some renovations, and it was only gonna be a short-term project. But we're still there 25 years later. And the equipment that uses that property these days is so much different than it was years ago. There's a lot of hazards that come from the filtration. It isn't filtered, and they're looking for an ability to filter it, and also in the living area to get some better ventilation, because the building is just not well ventilated. And then when you start chopping it up to do different things, it makes it even worse. So the deputy city managers put together a program that's going to be able to make some significant changes there for a reasonable price, given the amount of work that needs to be done, and it will certainly improve the air quality. Finance Organization Personnel unanimously recommended it, and we hope you do the same.
Any further comments on the motion and the amendment that is within it? Seeing none. Call for the question. All those in favor? Yeah. Motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to section E in the city manager's report.
Thank you. This evening, I would like to start by recognizing our Finance Director, Mary Howe, so that she can provide an update to the council regarding some recent water and sewer billing issues. Mary?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and councilors. I appreciate the opportunity to update you on the water sewer utility billing. First, I want to assure you that, and the water and sewer customers that the billing that we are preparing is prepared in-house by the City of Keene and the Revenue Department, and it is not being outsourced. So we are doing the billing here. So I just wanted to make, that clear, because I know that the question has come up, and I just wanted to put everybody's mind at ease that it's processed here. And also, the money that comes in is also processed here. So, as you know, the city has migrated its utility billing from its legacy system into the new Munis Tyler technology software. You also know that the migration has had its share of hiccups and issues, the latest of which resulted in approximately 65% of the invoices created and mailed to Section 3 customers with $0 amount billed for sewer consumption. Software updates are scheduled to happen over the weekends, and the weekend before the bill run on 4/26, the software was updated. These updates are similar to what you experience with your Windows update. They show up, they install. Well, this update had a glitch, and the glitch had eliminated a critical warning that should have popped up on the screen that would have informed the user that there was an error and the service type that was being processed could not calculate the charge amount because there was a zero bill in that one record. Instead of the error message popping up, the system continued on its own, and at that point processed the remainder of the bills with zero going to the sewer charges. The fix to this, however, showed up the following weekend, and the bills had already been mailed. So it wasn't something that we had anticipated. It wasn't something that we had noticed. And we really, truly apologize for that. The fix has been installed, and we are working on the next round of bills. Section 3 was the last of the first runs in the new software. We did number 1, number 2, and this was the last one. It was also, we were grateful it was a smaller one. So that was only 1,600 customers versus the 2,800 in the bigger sections. So there are reports that come out of the system, and they're spot checked. And some of the invoices were also spot checked, and the ones that were looked at were fine. The error occurred approximately after 550 bills or so, if not more, were prepared. So moving forward, we are putting in some additional checks and balances, reconciliations, reviews and approvals and sign-offs before the bills even go out the door, so we can minimize any errors like this in the future. We didn't have this issue with the other 2 bills coming up with $0 amounts, so we weren't anticipating this, and we do deeply apologize. I know that there is no excuse for our series of unfortunate events with the new software with the utility billing. I still would like to mention that our Revenue Department has experienced high staff turnover over the past couple of years, and that the staff is, they're short-staffed. The last position is soon to be filled. So hopefully moving forward, having staffing issues won't be a problem, and we'll be able to focus more on making sure our checks and balances are in place. And I know that the inexperience of the staff is really no excuse, but this transition has been quite challenging, and we're really trying to move it forward in a positive direction and try to regain some of the respect and faith of our customers that are out there. The finance director, myself, meaning me, and the assistant director are really putting together more detailed policies and procedures and develop a user checklist that has to be reviewed and signed off on before the bills go forward. So I'm also making customer service a priority of the department downstairs and looking into options to improve efficiency down there as well. So I deeply apologize to you all and to the public for the inconvenience that these issues have caused, and I assure you we are working on resolving these solutions and issues as quickly as possible. And I'd like to thank you and the public for you being patient and during these really frustrating and difficult times. And with that, I am happy to answer any questions.
Counselor Jones?
Thank you very much, and thank you for giving us that information, Mary. I just want to know that those that were affected, will they get rebilled or just wait till the next cycle?
We are in the process now of creating a separate bill just for that sewer consumption. We've run into some issues on trying to import the data, but we are working on that and hope to get a resolution and get these bills out in time for them to pay it before the next billing that comes up in about 2.5 months.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Counselor Chadbourne?
Thank you for addressing this, because I've received a lot of phone calls on it. One of the other questions that I've been asked is that the print has changed, and the joke is that you need a magnifying glass to read it. Is there any plan to increase the font size?
We would really like to rework some of those invoices. Those are what we refer to as their canned invoices that we can only make minor tweaks to. But after the dust settles on some of these issues, I would like to try to, I have a hard time reading them, so I really would like to make them bigger myself. So we are working on a way to create better, looking bills where people can read them. So yes, thank you for letting us know that other people have the same issue I do.
Counselor Williams?
Yeah, I'd just like to say thank you for your thorough explanation. I know a lot of people were frustrated by this. I was kind of surprised myself to get that in the mail. As a software developer, I've seen this kind of thing happen before. It's very frustrating to everyone involved. I appreciate that you're putting in checks and balances, especially to have a manual audit for what these automated systems are doing. But again, thank you for the thorough explanation and for all the work you do.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you.
Counselor Tobin?
Thank you, Your Honor. One question, so first of all, thank you, and working with different programs and getting updates, I think we can all relate to some of the challenges that happen and those surprises. I would say that it's probably inevitable that at some point those things happen, and my question is just, when those things do happen, how is that communicated to customers?
Usually what we've done in the past is post something on the website and make a notification on the website. Sometimes social media as well, and we try to communicate either via letter or when obviously people make phone calls. So we try to let the public know that there is an issue.
Counselor Boson?
Just really briefly, I was one of the customers who received one of these bills, and I immediately knew it was wrong because it was so much less than what I was used to receiving for a bill, and I pulled out the previous bill and I compared because I wasn't sure why, and you could see that the sewer line was missing. And I would say within 3 or 4 days, I received a letter from the city stating that there was a problem and that you guys would be following up with a solution. So like the other counselors have said, it's definitely understandable. We don't have control over technology. It's wonderful when it works. It's frustrating when it doesn't. But I think that, I would hope that our constituents would understand that these things happen and that doesn't completely fall on the shoulders of the individuals who are trying to review 1,600 bills. But, I do appreciate your work and the follow-up.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. So I also have an update for you from the state's opioid abatement commission. We voted last week, to do a request for proposals for a facilitating organization to handle $5 million worth of small grants, up to $10,000 for one-time purchases, and up to $75,000 per year for 2 years for operational costs. And this was done in an attempt to get smaller grants out more quickly to nonprofits who are looking for limited help and have limited staff. The state's process is very cumbersome. And if you don't have staff to really go through that process, it could make it very difficult for a small nonprofit to access these funds. So the hope is, by bringing on this facilitating organization, we create one contract with the state instead of a bunch of little ones, and they can move the money out faster. But it'll take us months to get that contract and a facilitating organization up and running. We've created some guidelines of what we're looking for from the group, but it will take some time. Once that's done, though, I plan to reach out to the nonprofits in our city who are providing services such as the Doorway or Serenity Center to let them know that that is going to be available and they should access those funds. And hopefully that's something that they will be able to take advantage of. The next update is a lease update. The city has multiple leases at the former transportation building on Gilbo. One of our tenants, Keen Barber at 12 Gilbo, has left the space, and we did put out an RFP to consider new tenants. As part of that process, no proposals were received. However, since then, we have been speaking with potential tenants, and we are hoping to bring forward a tenant that will activate the space. It's important. The agreement has some limitations because there potentially could be some changes in the future to the Gilbo Ave area, and so it's I think a 2 or 2.5 year lease. And we had been asking the former tenant to allow access to the bathroom. Whether people were really doing that or not, it wasn't widely publicized, but that was something that we had asked in the past. So I'll let you know as we continue to look for a new tenant in this space. And then just a reminder, and we did this at every committee last week, but a reminder about the Keene Master Plan Survey. It is on our website if people are watching from home or in the audience and haven't taken the survey, to please go ahead and do that. And we have some flyers, and we probably have some in the back where you can just scan the QR code, and it'll bring you right to our website. And then I also wanted to bring forward some really good news. You probably saw in the paper, the dog park is essentially done and should be open by the beginning of June. They are just finishing up a few things, but we're looking forward to a June 6th opening of the park if all goes well. The skate park, which is something we get a lot of questions about, the construction will begin after the July 4th holiday, and we expect the project to be complete by the end of the summer. So that will be very exciting news. The governor and council just recently approved the additional funding that we need for the demolition of the Findings building. That put that project back several months when we had to go back and figure out a new way to fund the other half of the demo costs. So we need to go back out to bid because that original bid is no longer good. So that will be our next step. But the skate park work can start in advance of the demo project if necessary. More good news, CDBG grants that come through the city. We've been working with Southwest Regional Planning Commission as our grant writer, and we've been pretty successful. We just received notification that the CDBG grant submitted for Base Hill Manufactured Housing Cooperative to improve their water system was awarded, in the amount of $500,000. So that's really great news. And then lastly, Community Night is back. It's been several years. It was before COVID since the last time we held Community Night. And our PAB, our Personal Advisory Board, has stepped up and taken a lead role in coordinating that event to bring it back. We've selected a date. It's June 18th. More details will be forthcoming. But for those of you who haven't attended, it's sort of like a Touch a Truck event with lots of big pieces of equipment from all the different departments. We bring equipment down from the airport. You have the Public Works equipment. It's all in the parking area at Public Works. And the Public Works staff cook burgers and hot dogs. And so it's a free family event, and it's usually very well attended. And it's a really great opportunity for members of our community to interact with our departments and our staff, look at the equipment, ask questions. And so we're really excited to have that back again. And that's it for me. Yeah, so I didn't mention the time because we haven't worked out all the details. It is booked in my calendar from 4 to, I think, 7, but I don't know if that will be the final details. So we'll be sure to share that just as soon as that's finalized.
But we do know it's June 18th.
We do.
Very good. Yeah. On the master plan, look, you can go to keenmasterplan.com. Pretty easy to remember that one, to complete the survey. Be very helpful. It needs to be completed by May 31st. Okay. Moving on to city reports.
And we have a memorandum from our finance director treasurer relative to acceptance donations. She's recommending that the council accept the donations in the amount of $2,500 and that the manager be authorized to use each donation in the manner specified by the donor.
Councilor Powers, for a motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Powers and seconded by Councilor Remy.
Once again, the generosity of this city is just wonderful. $1,000 has been earmarked by Savings Bank of Walpole, and it's for the Human Rights Committee event at the International Festival on Saturday, September 28th. So we're filling September Saturdays. There's other events in September, so we'll be very busy. And it's helpful to have these donations to cover these costs and make it really attractive for everyone. And the second donation is the amount of $1,500, and it comes from Noah Clay. It's in honor of Christopher S. Clay, and it's going to be used for the Adopt a Bench program. And the family wishes to share a resting spot in the place the family would often stop while on their journeys. So the bench will be placed along the Cheshire Rail Trail near Hurricane Road connection, and there'll be a plaque in memory of Christopher Clay installed up there. Recommend that the City Council accept these donations. Thank you.
Motion moved and seconded. Any comments from councilors? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Moving forward,
We have 2 more time requests, one out of the Planning Licenses and Development Committee on the Council Rules of Order Amendments, and the second one coming from the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee, and they have before it an ordinance O-2024-05 dealing with board memberships.
and more time will be granted to both of those topics.
And our next item of business is a memorandum from the Assistant City Manager, Human Resources Director, and it's the introduction of the class allocation and salary ordinance, schedule ordinance, and it is ordinance O-2024-08, an ordinance relating to class allocations and salary schedules.
And this item relates to the budget and would be referred to Finance Organization and Personnel Committee.
Now we're dealing with ordinances for second reading, and from the Planning, License, and Development Committee, we have a recommendation on ordinance O 2024-01. The committee is recommending the adoption of the ordinance, and we have ordinance O 2024-01, an ordinance relating to the Cottage Court Overlay District.
Counselor Bosley for motion.
Move to adopt ordinance O-2024-01.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Bosley and seconded by Counselor Jones. Counselor Bosley for the committee.
Thank you. So I'm really excited about this ordinance. What this ordinance does for us is it adds another tool in our toolbox to work on the housing crisis. When we got our housing analysis back from the original grant that was used to write that, there was additional funds from Invest NH that we were allocated to implement some of the strategies. And this is one of the things that we chose to use that money toward developing. This is a really important part of forward progress in our community. One of the things that we saw in that housing analysis is that we have a lot of large single-family homes that have a very small amount of residents, one, maybe two people in them. And what this does is it creates opportunities for much smaller size cottage housing for starter homes or for people who are looking to downsize, and could open up some of those larger family homes ultimately for residents. There are a lot of small nuances to the ordinance, but the primary intent is to add smaller housing units and higher density than what the underlying zoning district would have allowed. The maximum average housing unit under this ordinance is only allowed to be 1,250 square feet. So these are not going to be big homes, and there's no minimum, so they could be as small as tiny homes. So there's lots of different styles of projects. There are modified parking requirements that go along with these projects, and I really think that we can see some creative, cool development projects come in and help us tackle some of these numbers that we've got for the amount of units that are expected from Keene in the next coming decade. So PLD is really excited about it. We've done a lot of work on it at Joint Committee. We've held hearings on it. We've only had support from the community, and we're excited to get it in front of all of you tonight.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Jones.
Thank you, and thank you, Chair, for doing a good job describing that. Just because some people were asking, this is only available right now where city services are available. If it is successful, we will consider other areas of the city. But there were some people from the public asking about that, and that's the way it is right now, and it can be reconsidered if it's successful.
Thank you for that clarification. Further comments? Counselor Williams.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm excited for this. This is an excellent opportunity for infill in our community and to create some houses that regular people can afford to live in, and I appreciate that. And I also want to say that I appreciate the work that city staff has put into this, as well as the leadership of Chair Bosley in making this happen.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Workman.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to highlight, I went to a senior spotlight at Keene State recently, and there was a group of students there who did a project on the affordability of small homes, tiny homes. And I believe it was Portsmouth that has done this, but with 3D printing, they can be very affordable to build as well. So I know that's always been something that we struggle with. Yes, we can create ordinances and an avenue for building, but we always look at the developers and say, you know, what's the cost of developing? So there are means out there for affordable building, and I hope that some developers will consider that in Keene. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Further comments? I can add, this is the first ordinance relative to housing that I was able to see from start to finish in my term. I do appreciate Counselor Bosley's leadership, and I appreciate the efficiency of our community development staff in bringing this forward. This was one of the ways that we did employ an outside consultant to provide the expertise and external validation to where we were going, and I think the community is seeing a good product come forward. Thank you very much, all. Seeing no further comment, all those, we're going to need a roll call on this one.
Counselor Bosley?
Yes.
Counselor Tobin?
Yes.
Counselor Remy?
Yes.
Counselor Filio?
Yes.
Counselor Williams?
Yes.
Counselor Haas?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Madison?
Yes.
Counselor Lake?
Yes.
Counselor Workman?
Yes.
Counselor Chadbourne?
Yes.
Counselor Powers?
Yes.
Counselor Greenwald?
Yes.
And that motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to item J2. And we're going to, because of additional information that's come forward, so contrary to what you saw in your packet, this item will be, which relates to sidewalk cafe enforcement measures. This will be referred back to Planning, Lands, Licenses and Development Committee.
Yes.
Our next item is from the Planning, License, and Development Committee, and it's dealing with the nuisance, menace, or vicious dogs ordinance, and it's ordinance O-2024-07. The committee is recommending the adoption of the ordinance, and we have ordinance O-2024-07, an ordinance relating to nuisance, menace, or vicious dogs.
And we will file that report. We need a motion
Yep, for Counselor
for
Bosley.
filing that. Counselor Bosley, please.
Thank you. I'm going to move for the adoption of ordinance O-2024-07.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Bosley and seconded by Counselor Jones. Counselor Bosley?
Thank you again. So we have had several conversations at PLD over the last several months about aggressive dog behavior. And the council probably hasn't seen a full report out from the committee because a lot of those reports we've dealt with at the committee level and accepted as informational. But we had given staff some direction to come back to us with what our options were to help beef up our current ordinance. So I just want to give you guys a little bit of background. We spoke with Chief Stewart, and he had a really great explanation. We were like, can you just explain how you identify the differences between nuisance, menace, and vicious dogs? And he basically said barking, growling, biting. And that's a super easy way to kind of correlate what each of those terms really means. And so when we originally heard about this, it was from a constituent who had an issue. And then we actually heard from we brought our animal control officer and our brand new animal control officer, Michelle Grimes, and she was wonderful, and she explained the work that she's doing on this. Unfortunately, as a committee, the only option that we have, because of the way the state law is written, is to increase fines for these different levels. So we had legal and staff come back to us and let us know what the maximum fines were allowed, and we chose to use that as our leverage to hopefully get some of these dog owners to be responsible for their animals and to maybe look at additional training instead of just allowing these things to occur over and over again. So hopefully this helps incentivize at least one of these folks into doing a better job, and the committee supported it fully.
Thank you, Counselor. Further questions? Counselor Williams?
Yes, I just want to thank constituent Deborah LeBlanc for coming forward with her story about when her little dog Suzette was attacked by a larger dog. And that was really a very traumatic experience, but I'm glad that she was able to come to the council and get some resolution. This isn't the resolution that I was hoping for or asked for necessarily. What I really wanted was a way to prevent these things from happening, which we suggested muzzling. Maybe if someone has if a dog has bitten another dog, their owner would have to muzzle them for maybe a period of a year or two. We found out that under state law, just by a quirk of state law, we're not allowed to do anything with muzzles. But it's my intention to work with some of our state legislatures to maybe get that revised, and then we can come back with something else. In the meantime, I do appreciate that, this ordinance that we have before us does discourage vicious dogs, and this is the tool we have, so let's use it.
Thank you, Counselor. Seeing no other hands, would the clerk please call the roll?
Counselor Bosley?
Yes.
Counselor Tobin?
Yes.
Counselor Remy?
Yes.
Counselor Filio?
Yes.
Counselor Williams?
Yes.
Counselor Haas?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Madison?
Yes.
Counselor Lake?
Yes.
Counselor Workman?
Yes.
Counselor Chadbourne?
Yes.
Counselor Powers?
Yes.
Counselor Greenwald?
Motion carries unanimously. Move on to Section K in our agenda.
And this is a memorandum from the Finance Director Treasurer relative to the various bond issues for this year, and they include Resolution R 2024-10, a resolution relating to the appropriation of funds for the City Hall structural repairs. Resolution R 2024-11, a resolution relating to the appropriation of funds for Lower Winchester Street. Resolution R 2024-12, a resolution relating to the appropriation of funds for the Stormwater Resiliency Program. Resolution R 2024-13, a resolution relating to the appropriation of funds for Lower Winchester Street sewer utilities. Resolution R 2024-14, a resolution relating to the appropriation of funds for the Martel Court bypass. Resolution R 2024-15, a resolution relating to the appropriation of funds for the wastewater treatment plant HVAC replacement. Resolution R 2024-16, a resolution relating to the appropriation of funds for the wastewater treatment plant service water system upgrade. Resolution R 2024-17, a resolution relating to the appropriation of funds for the Lower Winchester Street water utilities. And Resolution R 2024-18, a resolution relating to the appropriation of funds for water distribution improvements.
And these items are referred to the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee for their consideration and rolling into the fiscal '25 budget.
And that brings us to our last regular agenda item, and it is a memorandum from Jack Ahern, who's the senior planner at Southwest Regional Planning Commission, and it's introducing Resolution R 2024-24, a resolution relating to the adoption of a citizen participation plan and grievance procedure for community development block grant funded projects.
And this item will be referred to the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee for their consideration. This brings us to the end of our agenda. There will be a non-public session that will move into pending a motion from Councilor Greenwald.
Thank you. I move to go into a non-public session to discuss a land matter under RSA 91-A:3, II,
Second.
right?
C.
D.
D.
That's what it said.
Second.
Is that right?
All the letters.
It's C, actually, but let me figure it clear. I have it right here, it's not gonna go.
I think
It's
so.
usually L.
And once again, the city clerk is correct.
Okay, moved by Councilor Greenwald, seconded by Councilor Bosley. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Counselor Bosley?
Yes.
Counselor Tobin?
Yes.
Counselor Remy?
Yes.
Counselor Filio?
Yes.
Counselor Williams?
Yes.
Counselor Haas?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Madison?
Yes.
Counselor Roberts?
Yes.
Sorry, not Counselor Roberts, Counselor Lake?
Yes.
Counselor Workman?
Yes.
Counselor Chadbourne?
Yes.
Counselor Powers?
Yes.
Counselor Greenwald?
Yes.
We are now in non-public session. Thank you very much.